this video came across my feed and I watched it 3 times. Not because it was confusing, but because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And I think you need to see it too. Because if you've ever felt like you followed all the rules, did what you were supposed to do, showed up how everyone told you to show up, and you still felt like something wasn't adding up, this is going to hit different. Let's watch it together.
I married the nice guy, the guy who made me laugh. I married the guy who was stable, who didn't yell. I married the guy who wasn't afraid to get down on the floor and play with kids. I married the guy who laughed really loudly, who didn't seem to care if anybody was watching. I married the guy who was soft with me, who listened to me on the phone for hours. I married the nice guy. I married the nice guy when I was 23 years old. I married the guy who'd come from a family who felt like life is hard. We're not going to make it easy on you. And what's funny is he married the nice girl, the girl who did everything to please somebody else, who molded herself to be the epitome of what other people wanted me to be. He married the girl that said, yes, let me show up and do more. He married the girl who said, I have absolutely no needs. None. Why would I have needs when I can show up and take care of you?
Okay, stop right there. I need you to really hear what she just listed, because this isn't just a description of her husband. This is the entire script men have been handed since childhood. Be stable. Don't yell. Be emotionally available. Get on the floor. Play with the kids. Listen. Really listen. Even if it's for hours. Be soft. Be safe. Be present. That's the blueprint. That's what every movie, every talk show, every relationship expert, every well meaning mother told men would make them a good partner. And he did it. For 20 years, this man executed the blueprint flawlessly. So here's my question. Who designed this blueprint and why doesn't it work? The men in these marriages aren't failing. They're following instructions that were never designed to actually work. The blueprint says, be soft, be stable, be present. But nobody ever asks the harder question. What happens when you build your entire identity around being someone's safe place? And they decide safety isn't what they want anymore. You followed the blueprint. The blueprint was broken. That's not your failure. That's a systemic lie. You were told. So let's keep watching.
He married the girl who said, I am low maintenance, just like one of the guys. I'll sit and watch sports with you for hours. You need to watch a rom-com? No, I'm good. It's okay. We'll do this. We'll do what you want to do. 20 years later, after realization after realization, after year, realizing this isn't what I signed up for. This isn't what I thought marriage was going to be. The struggles that we've had aren't getting any better. They just seem to be replicating themselves and getting worse. I started looking around at my kids and seeing children who needed more from their parents. I married the nice guy, and he married the good girl. And 20 years later, we're 5 months separated, working through some of the hardest parts of marriage. Because it would be easy for me to say, I'm done. We're calling it quits. There's been too much hurt. There's been too much pain. There's been too many conversations that have ended in, yes, I will do this. Yes, I want that. And very little action to show for it.
Now, this is where it gets really important because she's not just talking about him anymore. She's describing herself. And listen to what she's saying. She was the good girl. She molded herself to be what other people wanted. She said, I have no needs. She performed low maintenance. She watched sports when she didn't want to. She erased her own preferences to keep the peace. Sound familiar? Because here's the thing. He was following a broken blueprint, and so was she. He was taught be the provider, be stable, be soft, don't have too many needs of your own. She was taught be agreeable, be easy, don't ask for too much, mold yourself to whatever he needs you to be. Two people, two sets of broken instructions, both taught to erase themselves in different ways. And here's what no one tells you about that. When two people disappear into a marriage, there's no one left to actually be married, just two performances trying to hold each other up. This isn't about him being a victim and her being a villain. This is about a culture that taught both of them to abandon themselves and then act surprised when a relationship has nothing real left in it. He didn't know who she was. He built his whole identity around being enough for her. And neither of them were ever taught that you can't pour from an empty cup. And you definitely can't build a life with someone who doesn't know what they actually want. The system failed both of them. But here's the hard truth. He's the one that's going to pay the highest price for it. Let's talk about what that phrase actually means. The self-help industry in the United States is worth over $13 billion. Billion with a B. And that industry has one product, dissatisfaction. Think about it. If you're content, you don't buy the book, you don't download the app, you don't sign up for the course, you don't keep consuming. So, what does the industry do? It teaches you to look at your life, your stable life, your safe marriage, your present partner, and see lack. It teaches you that settling is the worst thing you could possibly do. It teaches you that if you're not constantly growing, evolving, and becoming your highest self, then you're failing. The self help industrial complex has made enough feel like a dirty word. And I want to be clear, growth is real. Therapy is valuable. Self awareness matters. But somewhere along the way, personal growth stopped meaning becoming a better partner and started meaning realizing you deserve to leave. She says, this isn't what I signed up for. So what did she sign up for? 20 years ago, she set vows, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health. She got the better, she got the stable, the soft, the present. An entire industry spent 3 years telling her that better isn't good enough, that there's always more, that her dissatisfaction is wisdom, not ingratitude. This man didn't lose his marriage to another person. He lost it to an algorithm, to a feed full of quotes, knowing your worth, to podcasts about divine feminine energy, to a culture that monetized the destruction of good enough. And the hardest part, she doesn't even realize she's a customer. She thinks she's enlightened. So here's her advice at the end of all of this.
After 3 years of growth for myself, the biggest takeaway I can give you now is work on you. There is nothing more important than relearning the safety skills that we needed to learn to show up better in a partnership. Because while we were raised by generation after generation that said, life is hard, I'm not going to make it easier on you, that's exactly what we needed. We needed the softness. We needed the care for ourselves. We needed the tools that said, this is how you show up for you first. Because the partnership, a marriage, is not where one person dissolves into the other. It's when two people, two whole people show up and say, I want you to be my anchor through the storm that life will give us. Because life's never going to get easier. But the person you pair up with, the person you partner with for life, should make it easier. But when we go into marriage with tools that were broken, that were only really there to protect ourselves from more harm, all we did was learn how to have partnerships that erased your identity, that allowed no space for the two of you to grow together. It left only room for ego. A different marriage means that you need to show up differently for yourself first.
work on yourself first. And on the surface, that sounds right. It sounds healthy. It sounds like the kind of thing you would hear from a therapist, a life coach, but I need you to notice what's missing. She never said, appreciate what you have. She never said, learn to recognize when someone is showing up for you. She never says, grow with your partner instead of away from them. The takeaway is show up for yourself first. And if the marriage can't survive that, then it wasn't meant to be. Here's what I want every man that's watching to understand. The problem was never that you weren't enough. The problem is enough has been redefined to mean everything forever while also being exciting. Stability gets rebranded as boring. Consistency gets rebranded as stagnation. Softness gets rebranded as weakness. And the man who does everything right becomes the man who isn't growing. But here's what the data actually shows. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Family Psychology found that marital satisfaction doesn't decline because partners stop trying. It declined because expectations become untethered from reality. We've created a culture where the baseline for a good marriage is a highlight reel, and anything less than that feels like failure. You were never competing with another man. You were competing with a fantasy that doesn't exist. I need you to hear this clearly. We're not a starter home for someone's self-discovery. You are not a season in someone's journey. You are not a placeholder until someone finds themselves. You are a whole person. You showed up. You followed the rules. You did the work. The system owes you an apology, not the other way around. Look, I'm not here to tell you this woman is evil. She's not. She's a product of the same broken system that failed him. She was taught to erase herself. He was taught to be her foundation. Neither of them were taught how to be whole people first and then build something together. But here's what I want you to take away from this. The blueprint you were giving, it was never about making you happy. It was about making you useful. And when your usefulness runs out, when stability isn't exciting anymore, when safe feels like settled, you become disposable. That's not your fault. That's a system that taught you to build your identity around being someone else's answer instead of being your own person first. So if you're watching this and you feel that weight, the weight of doing everything right and still wondering if it'll be enough, stop wondering. Build yourself first, not so you can be a better product for someone else's checklist, but so that when someone can't see your value, you don't lose yourself trying to prove it. You are always enough. The system just forgot to tell you you're enough should be for you first. If this resonated, drop a comment below. So it's been your girl, Remi Rene here. I'll see you guys in my next video.